As we think about new policy issues that we need to be addressing in the K-12 environment, we need to think about open access, open education resources, and providing access for our students. As we think about open education resources, what resources can we provide our students that will allow them to access content, access resources that should not cost our students, should not be a barrier to their learning. Then we need to also think about the technology barriers that students have. And when you think about technology barriers, are they able to access the internet, the web, and get to the tools that they need, whether it be at home, whether it be in the school, or outside into the workforce, because we really do need to think about our students moving from school to college or school to career.
I think probably the greatest policy issue facing the education community today is probably the funding formulas and the differentiation in how you fund the public sector K through 12 versus how post-secondary is funded. And when you try to create a seamless path for individuals to move through a seamless pathway of 10 through 14 from high school to community and technical colleges, then you bump up against those different methods of whose student is it and who has to pay for it.
Well, I think there are many policy issues that we need to solve, funding being one of the real big ones. But an important one that's really complex and challenging, because we tend to say, okay, we're going to get you the money for a piece of technology and things, but we don't think about or have a much more challenging time funding the professional development for teachers. And I think one of the things we're realizing is that there are a number of levels of complexity, of kind of very challenging paradigms that teachers need to work with, that we think these are going to be the things that are going to change everything, but they have no experience working with them. Things like just teaching with technology, especially online, where they have to learn to teach asynchronously. We're hearing this can take up to 3 years for teachers to really develop a facility with that. Competency-based learning, which we know is really critical, which means chunking out curriculum and things, and teachers worry that pulling that apart, losing that context that they work so hard to put in, is dumbing down the curriculum. So understanding how to do that. Understanding how to individualize that instruction and how to use technology to do that. Both the technology is very crude and rudimentary now in the data it will give us about students and their learning, and it's not really set up for that. We know to some degree how to do that kind of in our analog method that we've been doing in the classroom for a long time, but it's very challenging to think about that data stream coming in. How do I translate that, and how do I individualize for a number of students? And we don't have good models for technology to handle that. And then self-directed learning. How do we turn the model around? How does the teacher become the learner or a co-learner or an expert learner while the student is the novice learner? These are challenges that frequently, even if we can solve the funding, we got to think about how do we put in place the mechanisms, the funding, and the support to help teachers move and develop facility in these new paradigms.